What is going on, guys? Carter here with Edged Mindset. Welcome to the channel. Welcome to the video. Please like and subscribe, all that stuff. I really appreciate it. Comment. I like talking to you guys. All the usual stuff. But in this box, we have kind of an interesting story. What I'm going to do, I haven't opened this yet. I've cut this outer box just to save time. We're going to dig into it. I'm just going to do an unboxing, and then I will talk about it. EDC Lifestyle, that's where I got this from. Awesome place to buy knives from if you're wanting to buy knives, especially automatics. Awesome patch right there with the little dragon character. I think he's from like a Disney cartoon. I'm not sure what his name is. Some of you guys know. Comment down below who that is. But here we have it. Here we have it. Desert Knife Works Sandshark Double Action OTF. Now, some of you in the comments there are going to say, so there's three camps of people watching this video, I think. One is, what is this? Why is it in a gold tube? I don't know what this is. I don't know. The next camp is, holy crap, how did you get one of these? These things are the holy grail of OTFs. And then the third camp is going to be saying, oh, I know what this is. I wonder what he's going to say about this thing. So comment down below which camp you fall into. Let's just open this up. I'll put the cap on here, and then we'll talk about it. I'm going to fire it. I'm going to hold it for a minute, and then I'll tell you all about it for those that don't know. Oh, we've got a little plastic baggie here. Oh, look, number 132. That's kind of cool. Kind of cool how it is not like numbered. I heard they only did 300 of these, but I don't know if that is 100% fact or not, but I heard they only did 300. Let's fire it. There it is, right there. I heard it would be pretty oily, and it is pretty oily. Let's wipe this off. I've heard a couple of people say they had some misfires right off the bat, and then it kind of evened out. Could be because of that extra packing oil. So, where do I start with this knife? Those of you that know what this is, or what this is trying to be, probably have questions if you don't already know. So Desert Knife Works. I'm trying to wrap my head around where I start this story. This is a famous knife, famous design. Back in the early 2000s, this company, Desert Knife Works, came out with this knife, the Sandshark OTF, and kind of redefined double action OTFs, and still to today have arguably created the most robust OTF ever created. There's a famous video on YouTube of one of these going through a 50-gallon drum. And not only was it just kind of a cool little feat, their locking mechanism was unprecedented. Nothing else had came out that had a locking mechanism like what they did on the Sandshark, as well as the fact that the knife had virtually no blade play. And if it did have any blade play, you could adjust it with 3 screws on the back here. It had a system of silicone carbide, actually, I don't know, maybe they were steel bearings inside that you could adjust to remove any and all blade play. And like I said, it had that extremely robust locking mechanism. Now, this company was not a full-time knife-making company. I think they actually did other military or Department of Defense contracting, something like that. And they kind of did knives on the side. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's kind of what the story was. So they made these knives. They were pretty popular, but then they kind of moved on to other things, and they stopped making them. So the Sandsharks became a bit of grail collector items. The prices skyrocketed. Everybody wanted them. Still to this day, you know, real Sandsharks are high in demand. A couple years ago, there were some rumblings about somebody wanting to revive this knife. Somebody wanting to buy Desert Knife Works and remake the Sandshark. Now, there wasn't a ton of information on it. It was like rumors. There was a couple posts on Blade forums about this project supposedly happening, but not a ton of information. And then, you know, a year would go by, maybe you'd hear one other thing, and then nothing until essentially like last week, and all of a sudden these dropped on retailers as being available. But what is the story here? The story is that somebody bought the company, Desert Knife Works, and then they redesigned the knife and had it produced in China. So that's what we're looking at. We're looking at a China reproduction, Chinese-made reproduction of this knife. Now, it's not a clone legally because it was legally done. The person that had these made purchased the company. They can use the name. They can use the logo. They own the rights to the design, and they could have this knife made. They just chose to get it made in China. Now, that in and of itself doesn't bother me. I think that's fine. But the hope with myself and the hope with most, if not all, of the fans of this knife was that by making it in China, it would allow this knife to retain all of its amazing features like the original and still be purchasable. So these popped up for sale for $450 USD, which normally I would say is high for a Chinese-made OTF. But I was okay with it because the hope was, well, it is the Sandshark. It has all the crazy internals, all the crazy features of the Sandshark, so it's worth it. But in between these popping up for sale, I jumped on the first kind of batch that went up for sale. And when people started to get these in hand, the story ended up not being quite like that. In fact, this is really more of an homage to the Sandshark. It is not a new version of the Sandshark at all. It is fundamentally completely different, and it's more in kin with a modern OTF. And by that I mean they did not retain the internals of the Sandshark. They implemented a system very similar to what you see on 99% of OTFs, kind of the Marfione little locking gate mechanism where it's a spring-loaded locking gate on each side and there's a carriage and it moves the blade up. Now, with the exception of they did do double locking gates, so your typical Marfione style knife will only have a locking gate in the open and then one in the close. This one has 4. So it is, in theory, a more robust design in terms of how strong it is for, stabbing through things and things like that. However, it is not the Sandshark mechanism, and they didn't retain any of the anti-blade play stuff at all. In fact, it has about your normal old school blade play, right? The blade wiggles. It's not terrible. It's what I would typically expect from just a standard OTF. So that's where I'm torn, because on one hand, this is still cool. Honestly, first impressions, it is still cool because it is so big and it looks like a Sandshark, like kind of looks like a Sandshark. 4¼ inch blade. You don't get OTFs with a blade that long all that often. It's M390 steel. You can see it's got a satin finish to it. Looks to be done very well. I am pretty impressed with the quality based on what I'm seeing here. You can see the M390 stamped right there. One thing they did kind of improve on is this is much slimmer than the Sandshark design. The Sandshark design was like a 3 sandwich construction to get that to work. And so they were very, very thick. There's a custom knife maker named Paul Panic. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Burn Knives is his company's name. He makes custom OTFs, and he makes them in the original Sandshark internals. And you'll see if you look up his stuff, they're very, very thick. They are not thin. All of this stuff has been added, kind of this jimping right here. They added a pocket clip, which is nice. I really like that. And then there's just some minor tweaks overall. So at first glance, it looks very Sandsharky, but there's a lot of changes. I do like how it's thinner. This one's actually done in stainless steel chassis, which is an interesting choice, especially for a launch of a product to go stainless steel. So very interesting. I do actually really like the heft, though. I'll be honest. I didn't think I would. 9.3 ounces, so very, very heavy. The action feels pretty good. I like the sound. I do occasionally, I don't know if you've noticed, but occasionally on some of the openings, it seems to slow down a little bit. Not that time. It's firing hard right there. There's been a few openings where it almost seemed to catch. I'm thinking that'll probably break in and will no longer be the case, but we'll see. But overall, here's the good thing. I like it more than I had feared. I'd really thought that I would think this was just a fail all the way around. Glass breaker right there. But I actually still like it. I'm not disappointed. I am glad that I got it. It does kind of suck that they didn't do the Sandshark stuff. But it still is a pretty cool OTF. I like the stainless steel. I love how these have switches on the top. You know I'm a sucker for the top switch on OTFs. The action feels good. The sound is good. The button doesn't have any rattling to it, so that's nice. I wish the blade play thing was better. I really wish they found a way, even if they didn't implement the exact internal mechanism as the Sandshark to get rid of the blade play. It would have been cool if they did something special to this, right? A different technique for maybe reducing that blade play so that at least it was on the lowest possible side. But really, it just feels like any other mass-produced OTF that we've seen. And, you know, as you know, Microtech is coming out with their new knives that are eliminating blade play, so that's going to change the game. And knives like this are going to get left in the dust probably. But I'm very curious to see what happens to these. If they're going to do any more runs or any more variations. I question who wants this knife. I don't know how much this appeals to new OTF collectors. And with all of the things they did away with, I don't know how much it appeals to desert knife work collectors either. I mean, it kind of appealed to me, so I guess there's that. But very much on the fence on this one once I started to hear about people getting these and taking them apart and kind of being disappointed with what it ended up being. But at the end of the day, it's still pretty cool. It does have that iconic Sandshark look. And like I said, the heft of the handle here really kind of feels good. I like it. I would honestly, if they did some other variations, maybe an aluminum chassis, different blade finish, I could see me potentially picking up another one in the future. I would assume those variations should be a little bit cheaper. Or if they continue to improve, maybe do a V2 where they include some of the features that were omitted or something. I could definitely see me picking up another one. I love the size. The size is really awesome. Pocket clip, all that stuff. So let me know down below. I know some of this is super knife nerdy history stuff, and you might be looking at it saying $450 for a Chinese OTF. No frickin' way. That's a ripoff. Other people may find it kind of cool to resurrect a classic, even if it isn't, you know, even if it is kind of watered down a little bit. Still kind of cool. So let me know down below. Do you think it's cool? Or do you think it was kind of a cash grab ripoff trying to capitalize on a classic double action OTF? All right, guys. As always, thank you for the comments. Thanks for watching. I couldn't do it without you. Wouldn't want to do it without you. Take care. I'm out.